At 2:17 a.m. on April 15, 1912, a wireless signal from the RMS Titanic cut out mid-transmission. The man at the key never left his post because the water was already rising beneath him. 5 documented distress signals, 2 hours and 2 minutes, 12 recipients, and the systemic failures those transmissions exposed across 2 government inquiries. This is a countdown through each one, from the apparatus that sent them to the laws they forced into existence. It starts where every signal started, the wireless room. In the 10th place, the Titanic's wireless room stood at the heart of its promise and its vulnerability. Outfitted with a Marconi 5-kilowatt rotary spark transmitter, the system was advertised as capable of reaching at least 350 miles, though official inquiry testimony set the minimum range at 250 miles by day, with far greater distances possible at night. Manning this apparatus were Jack Phillips, age 25, from Farncombe, Surrey, and Harold Bride, age 22, from Nunhead, London, both employed not by the White Star Line but by the Marconi Company itself. Their primary duty was to transmit paid passenger telegrams, a commercial priority that routinely overshadowed navigational warnings. This hierarchy, embedded in Marconi protocols and confirmed by 2 government inquiries, would shape the fate of every message sent from this room on the night of April 14, 1912. Number 9, the night before the disaster, the Titanic's wireless room suffered a critical breakdown. At some point on April 13th, the main transformer's secondary leads shorted against iron bolts, abruptly silencing the Marconi set. Jack Phillips and Harold Bride worked nearly 6 hours to trace the fault, binding the damaged leads with rubber tape, a temporary fix that violated company protocol but restored communication. Bride later described the repair in a letter to the Marconi Company, underscoring the urgency and improvisation involved. The outage created a backlog of Cape Race passenger telegrams, forcing Phillips to remain at the apparatus for more than 12 consecutive hours by the time of the collision. Fatigue and mounting commercial traffic set the stage for the fatal hours ahead, when exhaustion and delay would shape every transmission from the wireless room. 8th place, the Californian lay motionless in the ice just miles from Titanic, its wireless call sign MWL silent in the dark. At approximately 11 p.m., Cyril Evans, the ship's sole wireless operator, sent an ice warning to Titanic, one of the last before disaster. Jack Phillips, focused on clearing a backlog of passenger telegrams, acknowledged the message with a standard stand-down code. Evans, interpreting this as routine, removed his headphones at 11:35 p.m. and retired for the night. As a result, when Titanic's distress calls began minutes later, the nearest vessel was effectively deaf. The Californian's wireless room, only 10 miles away, remained unmanned through the critical hours, a regulatory gap that would later reshape maritime law. Number 7, at 12:15 a.m. ship's time, the Titanic's wireless room formally entered crisis. Chief Operator Jack Phillips, acting on Captain Smith's direct order, transmitted CQD SOSMGY, position 41 degrees, 44 minutes north, 50 degrees, 24 minutes west. Require immediate assistance. Come at once. We struck an iceberg. This message, logged by Cape Race operator Robert Hunston at 10:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, marked the moment the collision became a public emergency. Within minutes, Cape Race, La Provence, Mount Temple, and Ypiranga received the call. Mount Temple altered course immediately, while the Frankfurt's reply came too late to matter. Only the Carpathia, under Captain Rostron, turned at 12:25 a.m., 58 miles away, setting in motion the sole effective rescue response that night. 6th place, the Titanic's distress language shifted decisively at 12:27 a.m. Harold Bride, recognizing the gravity of the moment, urged Jack Phillips to switch from the older CQD to the newer international SOS. Bride reportedly remarked, "Send SOS, it's the new call, and may be your last chance." Phillips, according to Bride's later letter and Senate testimony, gave a brief laugh before complying, sending out pure SOS in Morse, 3 dots, 3 dashes, 3 dots. The SOS signal, adopted by the Berlin Radio-Telegraphic Convention of 1906, carried a clarity and urgency recognized across the Atlantic. As his transmission went out, Captain Rostron of the Carpathia ordered passenger heating shut down, diverting steam to the engines and driving his ship to nearly 17.5 knots on a bearing of north 52 degrees west. The change in signal sharpened the emergency, marking a critical escalation in the race against time. Number 5. From 12:40 to 12:50 a.m., the Titanic's wireless room shifted from relaying distress to describing the ship's reversible decline. Cape Race logs recorded the message. Titanic was sinking by the head, with the forward well deck already underwater. Despite the worsening situation, when Olympic inquired about conditions at 1:35 a.m., Jack Phillips replied, "Clear and calm." Outside, officers aboard the Californian began to notice white rockets to the south, starting around 12:45 a.m. Their attempts to signal by Morse lamp received no answer. The British inquiry later determined that the vessel they watched firing rockets was indeed the Titanic, underscoring how visible distress signals and radioed warnings converged in a moment of fatal miscommunication. 5th place, the Titanic's wireless traffic reached its starkest clarity between 1:45 and 2 a.m. The transmission SOS SOS CQ DCQD Titanic. "We are sinking fast. Passengers are being put into boats," marked a turning point. No longer a call for help in the abstract, the message now described an active evacuation and the ship's rapid descent. Around 2 a.m., Captain Smith entered the wireless cabin for the final time. He told Phillips and Bride, "You have done your full duty. You can do no more. Look out for yourselves." Both men refused to leave their posts. In the aftermath, Harold Bride would recall, "I learned to love him that night." The last minutes in the wireless room became a testament to duty under extreme pressure, even as hope faded and the ship's fate was sealed. Number 4, between 2:15 and 2:17 a.m., the Titanic's wireless room fell silent. The final confirmed transmission ended mid-character, its abrupt cutoff noted in a later U.S. Coast Guard review. 3 minutes after this last signal, the ship foundered. In the chaos, Harold Bride was swept from the boat deck and managed to survive on the overturned collapsible B, later reaching New York aboard Carpathia with a sprained and frostbitten foot. Jack Phillips, who had turned 25 only days before sailing, was last seen near collapsible B. His body was never positively identified. The end of transmission marked not just the failure of power, but the end of all hope for further rescue. Number 3, the disaster's aftermath shifted from Morse code to courtroom testimony. As Carpathia docked in New York, Senator William Alden Smith delivered subpoenas to J. Bruce Ismay and surviving officers, initiating the U.S. Senate inquiry at the Waldorf Astoria on April 19th. Harold Bride, the surviving wireless operator, testified on 3 separate days, detailing the 6-hour repair, the relentless telegram backlog, and the moment the power failed. Cyril Evans of the Californian, questioned on day 8, confirmed there was no rule requiring him to remain at his post after removing his headphones. Captain Lord insisted his ship was 19 miles distant and that his crew mistook distress rockets for company signals. The Senate report dismissed these claims, concluding the Californian failed in accordance with the dictates of humanity, international usage, and the requirements of law. In August 1912, Lord was dismissed from the Leyland line, marking a formal reckoning shaped by the last unanswered signals. And finally, in first place, the 5 last Titanic transmissions reshaped the laws that govern the sea. The Radio Act of 1912, passed just 4 months after the disaster, required all ocean-going vessels carrying 50 or more people to maintain a continuous wireless watch. Operators now needed federal licenses, and ships were mandated to keep contact with both nearby vessels and shore stations. This legal shift was only the beginning. The first International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, SOLAS, entered into force in January 1914, imposing a 24-hour wireless watch, backup power for radio equipment, and the universal adoption of SOS as the international distress signal. Ships were bound by law to render assistance, and these requirements would be reaffirmed and expanded in subsequent revisions through the 20th century. The silence of the Titanic's wireless room became the catalyst for a global framework, transforming isolated tragedy into enduring maritime safety. Across all 5 transmissions, one truth emerges. Technology alone could not compensate for systemic gaps in vigilance and response. The Titanic's final signals force the world to confront that silence is deadly.